Are both parties present and ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Are we ready to open?
Your Honor, the plaintiff has a few preliminary matters we would like to attend to.
Okay.
Under Rule 603 and 615, we would like to constructively sequester witnesses and to also swear in all witnesses beforehand.
That makes sense to me. Counsel, do you have any objection to that?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, that sounds good.
Oh, and another thing, Your Honor, we would like to point out that under stipulation 11, exhibits 22 and 23 are all pre-admitted and may be used at any time during the trial.
Is that your understanding as well, counsel?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, that makes sense.
And nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay. Counsel, do you have anything before we get into opening statements?
Before I get into my pretrial motions, may the defense introduce themselves?
Sure.
My name is Gonzalez, and I'll be representing the plaintiff, Ms. Ethel Marks, and my second chair is within the Zoom call, Ms. Natalie Martinez.
Hello.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon.
Now, we asked, Your Honor, that exhibits retain their pre-marked exhibit numbers regardless of the order in which they are introduced.
That makes sense to me.
The defense also notes for the court that according to Section 470 on the California Penal Code, it is a misdemeanor to use a driver's license that one knows to be fake, and such this crime qualifies as a crime of dishonesty under Federal Rules of Evidence 609A2.
Okay. Are you asking me to do something?
I just wanted to be available to the court, the information.
Okay. Why don't we take that up when the time comes, if that comes up?
Yes, Your Honor. And lastly, the defense would like to designate our party representative as Sunny Mehta. As such, they will be present throughout the entirety of today's trial.
Okay. We're ready to open, or is there anything else to take up?
Your Honor, the plaintiffs would like to introduce ourselves.
Sounds good to me.
Good evening, Your Honor, members of the jury. Today, I'm joined by my co-counsel, Mr. Georgie, and together we represent Jessica Marks' estate.
Good evening, Your Honor.
Hello. Okay, sounds like we're ready to open.
Your Honor, may I have a couple of seconds to reposition myself?
Okay.
May it please the court. Any guardian who fails to meet their duties must be held responsible. This is the law. California has a law called the Dram Shop Act. It requires bars to act as guardians to make sure that obviously intoxicated minors under 21 are not sold or given alcohol. On March 24th, 2019, Jessica Marks was a 19-year-old college student who went to Los Angeles for spring break in order to visit her longtime friend, Morgan Levin. On that night, at around 9 p.m., Jessica and Morgan went to Sunny's rooftop bar, the defendant in this case, so they could drink. For the next 2.5 hours, they were served drink after drink after drink after drink. On her way back home, Jessica lost control of her car, went off the road, and was killed. At that time, her blood alcohol content was 0.16. The plaintiff claims Sunny's rooftop bar is responsible for Jessica's death because it violated California's Dram Shop Act regarding obviously intoxicated minors. In order for her to prove her case, the plaintiff must show by a preponderance of the evidence the following. Number one, was Sunny's rooftop bar licensed to sell alcohol in the state of California? This is undisputed. Number two, did Sunny's rooftop bar sell or give alcohol to Jessica Marks? This is also undisputed. And number 3, was Jessica Marks a minor at the time Sunny's rooftop bar served her alcohol? This too is undisputed. All of these things are undisputed. However, the last thing that must be proved is if Jessica Marks was obviously intoxicated when she was given and served alcohol. There will be overwhelming evidence that Jessica Marks was obviously intoxicated when she was given alcohol at Sunny's rooftop bar that night, and that alcohol was a substantial factor in causing her to lose control of her car and lead to her subsequent death. Because of that, members of the jury, the plaintiff will ask you to find Sunny's rooftop bar liable for its failure to act as a guardian as required by California's Dram Shop Act. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay. Defense counsel?
May I proceed?
Please do.
It was a decision that only she could make. Go hard or go home was the motto that Jessica Marks lived by in every facet of her life. Sadly, it was also the motto that would lead to her death when on March 24th, 2019, she drove her car off the Pacific Coast Highway and died in a crash. The plaintiff would have you believe that it was Sunny's rooftop bar's service that caused her to drive her car off the road. Obviously, we, the defense, admit that my client served her alcoholic beverages, but what wasn't obvious was her age and the level of her intoxication when she acquired the alcohol. Moreover, this case can be boiled down to one obvious, unfortunate fact. The fatal decision to drink and drive was a decision that only Jessica Marks could make, and not my client. Your Honor, opposing counsel, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, may it please the court, my name is Gonzalez, and I represent my client, Sunny's Rooftop Bar. Ms. Mehta, could you please turn on your screen? This is the woman whose business bears her name. She is not a monster, nor is she a careless, indifferent business owner who would serve anyone with a pulse. No. Sunny Mehta is a responsible owner who had proper permits and licensing and has effectively trained her employees to be reliable servers under the law. The defense will show you that Ms. Mehta complied with the law and was not the direct cause of Ms. Marks' death, because the ultimate fatal decision was never hers to make. Thank you, Ms. Mehta. You may turn off your screen. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the court, what this case is really about is a girl who made a decision to break the law. And that decision led to her becoming intoxicated and subsequently driving her car off the highway, causing her own death. The defense intends to show that from the moment that Ms. Jessica Marks walked into Sunny's Rooftop Bar to the moment she stepped out of the bar, she was not obviously intoxicated.
Good to go, and recording privileges are granted, so you are good to start whenever you're ready.
Excuse me?
Your Honor, I believe you're muted.
Thank you. Good morning.
Can I continue?
You can, I think someone briefly unmuted, and that's what that was.
Yeah, okay.
Continue.
Now, we, the defense, will present one witness who will aid this honorable court in analyzing the facts and determining the truth. You will hear from the owner of Sunny's Rooftop Bar, Sunny Mehta. She will testify to the fact that throughout the entire 3 hours that Jessica Marks was at the bar, she was not showing any obvious signs of intoxication. Furthermore, Ms. Mehta will discuss and explain the procedures she followed that night and show how her establishment complied with the laws of the state of California. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the court, need I remind you that my client doesn't have to prove anything. The burden of proof does not rest on my client. The burden of proof rests on the plaintiff to prove by a preponderance of the evidence that Sunny's Rooftop Bar is the proximate cause of Ms. Jessica Marks' death and is therefore liable. We, the defense, are confident that the plaintiff will not be able to meet this burden because the ultimate fatal decision to drink and drive was never a decision for my client to make. When you see the facts and weigh all of the evidence, we, the defense, are confident that this honorable court will reach only one conclusion, that Sonny's Rooftop Bar is not liable for the wrongful death of Jessica Marks. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, counsel. Plaintiff, you ready to call your first witness?
Yes, Your Honor. The plaintiff calls Morgan Levin to the stand.
You can proceed whenever you're ready.
Good evening, Ms. Levin. Ms. Levin, I believe you're on mute.
Sorry, good afternoon.
Can you please state your name for the members of the jury?
Hi, my name is Morgan Levin.
And what school do you go to?
Just down in California, I go to UCLA.
And when is your birthday?
January 20th, 2000, so 21 years old.
And how did you know Jessica?
Jessica was my best friend ever since junior high. We were both in drama together, so you don't come by friends easily there. And we just clicked and we were best friends ever since.
And what was Jessica doing in Los Angeles on March 24th, 2019?
She goes to Drexel University, or she went to Drexel University in Pennsylvania. So in March, she was visiting me for spring break in LA.
And did you two do anything on that day of March 24th?
Yeah, Jess had rented an Airbnb for the week, and so we were hanging out there.
And what did the two of you do there?
We talked, we caught up, we hung out, and we both drank a glass or two of wine.
Your Honor, directing you to stipulation 17, it has been stipulated that Exhibit 6 was posted on Twitter at 8:20 p.m. Ms. Levin, are you familiar with Exhibit 6?
Yes,
Can you identify what it is?
this is a video of Jess when we were at her Airbnb.
Hang on a second, counsel. Is this a pre-admitted exhibit?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
I'm about to admit it.
Okay, going forward, I think, Ms. Levin, you have a copy of all the exhibits in the exhibit list, I'm assuming, with you, Andy. Okay. Why don't we take this down? And to the extent that you're going to authenticate an exhibit that's not been admitted, authenticate it before you display it to the jury. And then once it's admitted, you can display anything without my permission. Does that make sense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, proceed.
Ms. Levin, based off of your knowledge, has this video been changed or altered in any way?
And no, I saw it in my deposition before trial.
Your Honor, we offer Exhibit 6 and ask to play it for the members of the jury.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Admitted.
The town. We're going to hey guys, we're going out tonight for a night on the town. We're going to a rooftop bar in Hollywood. Should be fun. You know, go hard or go home. Not ready to go home.
At this point, has Jessica been drinking?
She has the glass of wine in hand, but other than that, no.
And this was all before going to Sonny's Rooftop Bar?
Yes.
And what time did you arrive at the bar?
We got there at about 9 p.m.
Did Jessica display any symptoms of intoxication before entering the bar?
When we were driving there, no, but when she got there, she did. Her eyes started to get watery and she smelled like alcohol.
Was there any other symptoms having to do with speech?
She did slur her words.
And how long were you at Sonny's Rooftop Bar?
We were there for almost 3 hours. We got there at 9 and were there until about 11:45.
Are you familiar with Exhibit 17?
Yes, I am.
Can you identify it?
Exhibit 17 is the receipt from Sonny's Rooftop Bar.
And is it a fair and accurate representation?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, the plaintiff offers Exhibit 17 into evidence.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
So admitted.
Looking at the bar tab, how many drinks did you have that night, Ms. Levin?
Well, we had 1 bottle of wine. We got 2 beers, 2 different kinds, a can and a draft. There were 3 White Claws and 2 shots.
So how many of those drinks did you drink?
Out of the bottle of wine, I had 1 glass. I had 1 of the beers and I had a shot.
So the rest of the drinks were for Jessica?
Yes, that's correct.
So what did you and Jessica do first when you arrived at Sunny's?
We went up on the rooftop. We got a table, and that's when we met our server, Sunny, who started taking our orders.
And are you also familiar with Exhibit 11?
Yes.
Can you identify it for us?
Exhibit 11 is it's a picture of our table while we were at Sunny's and the drinks on the table.
Your Honor, we offer Exhibit 11 into evidence.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
So admitted.
And here, what's being served?
The bottle of the Decoy Red Blend.
And moving on to Exhibit 12, do you know what that is too?
Yes, that's a picture of more drinks on our table later in the evening.
Is this a fair and accurate representation?
From what I have seen before trial, yes.
Your Honor, we also offer Exhibit 12 into evidence.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
So admitted.
And moving on to Exhibit 13, do you also know what that is?
Yes, we had ordered Exhibit 13. Yes, this is again another picture of the drinks on our table.
Is it fair and accurate?
Yes.
Your Honor, we offer Exhibit 13 into evidence.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
So admitted.
Is there anything new here, Ms. Levin?
Yes, we see the White Claw, the chips and the guac, as well as in the back, there's one of the beers, the can.
At this point, did Jessica display any signs of intoxication?
Yes, her slurred speech got worse. Her cheeks were flushed and her eyes were still bloodshot.
Was there any specific moment that indicated to you that she was intoxicated?
Just as she kept drinking, but when I saw it at the worst was at, I want to say 10 p.m. Jessica went down the stairs to use the bathroom and she stumbled down. The owner, Sunny, saw her do it and made a joke to the other bartender, Frankfurt, that they needed to cut her off.
Did he cut her off?
No, that's what I was confused about. Looking back on it, we were never cut off.
Directing your attention to Exhibit 14, can you describe what this is?
Exhibit 14 is, again, our table with more drinks on it later in the day.
Your Honor, we offer Exhibit 14 into evidence.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Levin, can you identify what that drink is with the straw?
That is what I believe to be a Captain Rum and Coke that night. It's not on the receipt because from what I understood, Jessica had gotten it for free by one of the bartenders, Frankfurt.
And moving on to Exhibit 15, can you also tell us what this is?
Again, more drinks later in the evening.
Your Honor, the plaintiff offers Exhibit 15 into evidence too.
Any objection?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
So admitted.
Ms. Levin, before this trial, did you happen to review Exhibit 10?
Yes, I did. It's a video of Jessica at around 11 p.m.
Did you happen to review it before today's trial?
I did.
Has it been changed or altered in any way based off your knowledge?
No, it hasn't.
Your Honor, we offer Exhibit 10 into evidence and ask to play it for the members of the jury.
Any objection to Exhibit 10?
No, Your Honor.
So admitted.
Mr. Georgie, I believe you.
Hi everyone, Morgan and I are in Hollywood. We're at a bar. It's kind of like a silly bar, except everything is really, really expensive. $10 for a seltzer. And everyone here wants to be a model or an actress. I'd like to thank the Academy. Mom and Dad, you've inspired me. Okay,
And Ms. Levin, are you familiar with Exhibit 16?
Let's just pause there for a second. I believe we have a note in our chat here that time has elapsed. I'm not. Can have the timekeepers conferred on that?
Your Honor, I'm at 6 minutes and 30 seconds.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Tang, you can proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. What time was this video taken, Ms. Levin?
11 p.m. exactly, I believe.
And this was after Jessica has been drinking?
Multiple drinks, yes. And she still had the shot after that video was taken.
Directing you to Exhibit 16, does it look familiar?
Exhibit 16, yes, I've seen Exhibit 16 before.
Your Honor, the plaintiff offers Exhibit 16 into evidence.
Any objection?
Your Honor, can my opposing counsel please ask the witness what it is for the court and lay some foundation?
Ms. Levin, can you describe to the court?
Hang on a second. I'm not sure I understand the objection.
The witness hasn't specifically stated what the exhibit is. She just said that she is aware of it.
Okay. Can you screen share Exhibit 16s? I don't have the exhibits in front of me. I'm not entirely sure what exhibit we're talking about. Okay. And your objection is that you don't think there's sufficient foundation to authenticate the photo.
Yes, the witness was just asked if she is aware of it. She never said what it is exactly.
Okay. Why don't you ask that question? I think that'll satisfy both parties.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Levin, can you tell us what Exhibit 16 is?
Yes, this is once again more drinks that were served to us on March 24th, 2019, and it was taken at 11:32 p.m.
Your Honor, we offer this exhibit into evidence.
Ms. Gonzalez, I assume no objection.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, so amended.
And Ms. Levin, were these drinks served after the 11:11 video?
Yes, 11:32, and even though it wasn't on our receipt, you see that a new beer was served, a draft.
And Ms. Levin, what happened at 11:50?
11:50, I had called an Uber because I hadn't felt comfortable to drive home that night or Jessica, and so that's when my Uber came.
Now, Ms. Levin, I know this might be hard for you to talk about, but what happened at 11:53?
That's when Jessica had driven, left Sunny's bar, and drove off the ravine and crashed.
And where was Jessica coming from?
She was leaving Sunny's bar on her way back to her Airbnb.
No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Ross,
Yes, Your Honor, may I inquire?
go ahead.
Ms. Levin, I want to first say that I'm sorry for your loss. Now, I'm going to ask you some questions which are generally call for a yes or no response. If you can't answer that way, can you let me know?
Yeah.
Ms. Levin, you just testified in court today that Jessica Marks was obviously intoxicated after leaving Sunny's rooftop bar on the night of March 24th, 2019, correct?
I can't say if she was obviously intoxicated. She just looked and acted drunk.
So by your own logic, when you called for an Uber, it was clear that Jessica was intoxicated?
Yes, I didn't trust me or her to drive.
And yet Jessica still went in her car, correct?
I should have done more to stop her, but yeah, she did.
Isn't it also true that Jessica told you that she had gotten pretty good at driving after a big night?
That's what she told me.
Well, she gave herself her own sobriety test, didn't she?
Jessica gave her own sobriety test, yes.
She touched her nose and walked in a straight line without stumbling, right?
Jessica touched her nose and walked in a straight line, yes.
According to you, she wasn't as drunk as you expected, was she?
At least she could do what she said. I mean, she still had those symptoms I said earlier, the watery eyes, the slurred speech.
Okay, let's give you the benefit of doubt. You still asked Jessica to come with you in the Uber, didn't you?
Of course, it's always best to be safe.
But Jessica still said that she was fine and she decided not to join you in the Uber, correct?
Yeah, I guess she didn't want to leave her car there.
So it was her decision to not go with you and to drive herself, correct?
Yes, she chose to drive herself that night.
Let's move on, Ms. Levin. You are aware that Jessica's mother, Ethel Marks, is the plaintiff in this civil suit, right?
Yes,
Is it true that Ms. Marks specifically told you that she was going to sue you over Jessica's death because you didn't stop Jessica from drinking and driving?
she said that back in
Objection,
2019.
Your Honor, irrelevant.
Response?
Your Honor, this is relevant because it goes to show bias and motive for testimony.
Overruled.
So yes, in 2019, Ethel, she did threaten to sue me, but she didn't.
And sometime after the plaintiff threatened to sue you, you met with Ms. Marks' attorneys, true?
I met with Miss Marks' attorneys, yes.
You're here today testifying in support of Ms. Marks' civil suit against Sunny's Rooftop Bar, true?
I'm just testifying as to what happened on March 24th, and then that's when I was chosen to testify on behalf of the plaintiff.
But would it be fair to say that you can't be named as a defendant in this lawsuit if you are testifying on the behalf of the plaintiff?
I don't know how that works.
But Ms. Levin, you are not the defendant, right?
No, I'm not the defendant.
Ms. Levin, on March 24th, 2019, you and Jessica were both 19 years old, correct?
Yes, we were 19.
And yet you both decided to acquire fake IDs, true?
Well, Jessica had given me a fake ID and I decided to use it, yes.
Ms. Levin, you are aware that the legal age to purchase and consume alcohol in the state of California is 21, right?
Objection, Your Honor, irrelevant.
Response?
Your Honor, if you can indulge me, the relevance of my line of questioning will become apparent.
Can you make an offer of proof as to what's about to happen that's going to make what this witness knows about the legal age to drink relevant?
Like my pretrial motion, I wanted to make an offer to the court that under Federal Rules of Evidence 609A2, that in the state of California, you must be 21 and it is illegal and it is a dishonest act to acquire fake IDs and knowing that you do.
Your Honor, may I respond?
Sure.
Your Honor, the issue with today's case is whether or not Miss Marks was obviously intoxicated or not. Speaking on behalf of fake IDs is irrelevant to today's case.
Ms. Gonzalez, was this witness convicted
No,
of a crime?
no, I'm simply just trying to make the fact that they did do a deceitful and dishonest act, which was a cause of Miss Marks' death.
Okay, well, I'm not going to permit you to as you represented, go down this line of questioning as under Rule 609, because that deals with criminal convictions. But I do think, to your point, that under Rule 608B, this would be a specific instance of conduct for untruthfulness on cross-examination. So I'll permit you to, those grounds, I'll permit you to proceed with this line of questioning. So the relevance objection is overruled, and I find that under Rule 608, this line of questioning is appropriate.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Levin, what is your response?
Can you ask the question again? I'm sorry.
Are you aware that the legal age to purchase and consume alcohol is 21 in California?
Yes, I'm aware that it was 21.
So you and Jessica purposefully and deliberately engaged in a deceitful and dishonest act in order to get alcoholic drinks, correct?
We were 19. We didn't think about it like that. We just wanted a night out. But yes, we knew we were saying we were 21 when we weren't.
Ms. Levin, it's your testimony that most of the drinks that were served at your table were consumed by Jessica, correct?
Yes, I did still drink, but most were by Jessica.
And you stated in your sworn deposition that you only had a beer, right?
A beer, a wine, and a shot.
Your Honor, may my second chair please share the screen with Exhibit 23, which has already been admitted.
Go ahead.
Opposing counsel, can you see this on your screen?
Yes,
Yes.
Ms. Levin, do you recall giving a statement to Officer Sammy Gaskin on the night of March 24th, 2019?
yes, that was the morning of, that's right when Jessica drove off the ravine.
Is this a fair and accurate report of your statement?
Yes.
And to the best of your knowledge, it hasn't been altered, has it?
No, it hasn't.
Ms. Levin, could you please read aloud the highlighted lines of the demonstrative on the screen?
I asked Levin how many drinks Levin and Jessica had at Sunny's. Levin said Levin and Jessica had not had any drinks as they were not 21. I explained that we'd likely take a blood sample from Mark's and would know if Levin was lying. I also explained that I would obtain their bar tab, which I later did, and incorporate by reference heroin as Exhibit 17. Levin acknowledged that Mark's had, quote, a few drinks and that Levin had, quote, also a few also.
You didn't just have a beer that night at Sunny's Rooftop Bar. You had a few drinks, right?
Yes, as I said, a glass of wine, a beer, and a shot.
You had so many that you couldn't remember the exact amount you consumed?
No, I had a wine, a beer, and a shot.
But you didn't tell this to Officer Gaskin, did you?
I had just watched my best friend drive off a ravine. I was a little traumatized at the moment, so I said a few.
But nonetheless, you initially lied to Officer Gaskin, did you?
I was terrified. So yes, I tried to deny that, but when I knew I couldn't, I said I had a few.
Miss Levin, were you lying when you initially gave your statement to Officer Gaskin, or are you lying here in court today about having a few drinks?
What? I said I had a wine, a beer, and a shot. I'm telling the truth today. I'm under oath.
Yes, but you lied to law enforcement, right?
Right after I saw my best friend die. That's when I made up a fact.
Mhm. No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Correct?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Levin, when you made those statements prior to Officer Gaskins, were you under oath?
No.
But today, are you under oath?
Yes.
You are required to tell nothing but the truth,
Yes, that's what I said. Under law.
nothing further, Your Honor. But, Your Honor,
Okay.
before the plaintiff rests our case, we'd like to refer the jury to Exhibit 22, where it says Miss Marks's blood drawn at the scene of the accident contains 0.16 grams per 100 milliliters of blood.
Is this a pre-admitted exhibit? This is, right?
Yes, Your Honor, this is a pre-admitted exhibit. May we publish this?
I think you already have.
Okay. And we would also like to refer the jury to Exhibit 23, where it says that Marks's BAC at the time of the crash was 0.16, and the part that says that the cause of Jessica's accident was driving under the influence of alcohol. This exhibit has also been pre-admitted. May we publish this?
I think you already have it on the screen. So permission retroactively granted, I guess. You don't need permission to publish admitted exhibits, so no problem.
And with that, nothing further at this time, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you rest?
Yes, Your Honor, the plaintiff rests.
Ms. Gonzalez, are you going to be putting a case on?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Whenever you're ready to call your first witness.
The defense would like to call Sunny Mehta to the stand. Good afternoon. Can you please state your name for the record?
Good afternoon. My name is Sunny Mehta.
What do you do for a living?
Well, I'm an entrepreneur, but right now I'm in between things right now ever since Sunny's Rooftop Bar was sold.
Ms. Mehta, do you know why you're here in court today?
I do. I'm here to talk about March 24th, 2019 and what had happened at my bar.
Do you believe your business is responsible?
No, I don't. I mean, I know we served Jessica Marks and she was a minor, but I didn't see any signs of intoxication, so I can't be responsible.
Let's discuss your protocols and carding methods. What type of certification are you required to have to serve alcohol?
Well, everyone that works in a bar has to take the responsible beverage service course, and it basically teaches you how to look for signs of intoxication, when to cut someone off, and how alcohol affects the body.
Do you know if your employees are up to date with their certification?
Oh, all of my employees are up to date on that certification.
And how do you train your employees?
Well, one day on the job, I do a little training course, card anyone who looks under 45 and It's not that hard because all they have to do is put it in an ID scanner. But the ID scanner was down on March 24th, 2019.
So, Ms. Mehta, from your training, can you tell us what factors contribute to how a person handles their alcohol?
Yes, a person's height, weight, genetics, and tolerance all lead into how alcohol affects them.
Let's move on. When did Miss Marks arrive at your bar on the night of March 24th?
She arrived somewhere around 9 p.m. that night with her friend, Morgan Levin.
And based on your own observations, how would you describe Jessica's level of sobriety when she walked through the doors of your establishment?
Ms. Marks was perfectly sober when she walked in. She didn't show any signs or symptoms of intoxication.
And how could you tell if Jessica looked sober or inebriated?
Well, there's a lot of signs to look for when it comes to intoxication that I'm certified to look for, like red, watery eyes, slurred speech, smelling of alcohol, stumbling. Any of those things are signs, and I never saw them in Jessica when she came in.
Ms. Mehta, can you turn in your case packet to what has been previously marked as exhibits 8 and 9?
Yes, I'm there.
Opposing counsel, can you also reference these exhibits in your packet?
Yes, I can.
Your Honor, permission to ask the witness a few foundational questions.
Of course.
Ms. Mehta, do you recognize these exhibits?
I do. Both of them are at the bar. Exhibit 8 is upstairs and Exhibit 9 is downstairs.
Have they been altered in any way, shape, or form?
No, they haven't.
Your Honor, permission to move exhibits 8 and 9 into evidence.
Any objection?
No objections, Your Honor.
So admitted.
Ms. Martinez, can you please put those exhibits on the screen? Ms. Mehta, you mentioned that Jessica Marks and Morgan Levin were seated at a table. Where on exhibit 8 is that exactly?
Well, that would be at the bottom right-hand corner with the blue pillows. They were at table 4 there.
And how many other customers were also there that night besides Ms. Marks and Ms. Levin?
It was a pretty slow day for a bar, but consistent. So somewhere around 10 to 12 patrons other than Jessica and Morgan.
How would you describe the amount of attention you gave Ms. Marks and Ms. Levin that night?
Well, the bar, it was slow, but there were definitely other customers to attend to. So the amount of attention I gave them wasn't too much. It was the same as everyone else. Came to their table, took their order. No more than 30 seconds to a minute was how long I interacted with them.
Given this, how many times would you say you visited with Ms. Marks and Ms. Levin that night?
About 8 to 10 times.
While you were at her table, were there any noticeable signs that indicated that Ms. Marks was intoxicated?
No, Ms. Marks didn't show any signs of intoxication while I was at her table.
What about her friend, Ms. Levin?
Now, Ms. Levin, she did show a few more signs of intoxication than Jessica. She was a little sleepy. Her eyes were a little bloodshot. She stumbled at the end of the night when they were leaving.
And what did you do when you noticed Ms. Levin's condition?
Well, I saw most of those signs at the end of the night, so I inquired, who's going to be the one driving home? And I was assured that the more sober of the two was, and that looked like Jessica to me.
Let's talk about the end of the night. At what time did Ms. Marks and Ms. Levin leave the bar?
After they closed the tab around 11:45.
And where were you when they were leaving?
Oh, I was downstairs helping Frankfurt clean up because it was almost time for close, and I was watching all the customers leave to make sure they were fine.
And what did you notice when Ms. Marks came down those stairs?
I didn't notice anything about Ms. Marks. She was fine.
And what about Ms. Levin when she came down those stairs?
Ms. Levin did seem stumbly when she came down the stairs, and when she closed the tab at the end of the night, she struggled to sign the receipt a little bit. She was a little sleepy too, but other than that, she was fine.
Ms. Levin testified in court today that it was Ms. Marks who stumbled down those stairs and you caught her. When did this happen?
That No, that didn't happen on March 24th. I don't remember that happening.
What about you saying that Frankfurt Johnson, we might need to cut this one off, and laughing?
No, that didn't happen either.
And when did you learn about Miss Marks' accident?
I was actually, when I had left the bar after it closed at around 12:30, the roads were blocked off and I had seen what happened the next day on the news to Jessica.
Lastly, Miss Mehta, why didn't you call an Uber for Miss Marks or Miss Levin that night?
Well, Ms. Marks didn't show any signs of intoxication, so that definitely wasn't necessary. And Miss Levin had already said that she was driving with Jessica. So I didn't call an Uber for either of them because I didn't think it necessary.
Thank you, Miss Mehta. No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Ross?
Yes, Your Honor. Good evening, Miss Mehta.
Good evening.
And you own Sunny's Rooftop Bar, correct?
I used to up about a year ago.
You were serving people on March 24th, right?
I was.
You served Jessica?
I did serve Jessica Marks.
And you're aware that Jessica was 19 at the time?
I was made aware of that after March 24th.
And you said you interacted with her 8 to 10 times that night.
That's right, 8 to 10 times for about 30 seconds to a minute.
Directing your attention to Exhibit 10, have you seen it?
I did. I saw it in court today.
Your Honor, we are now screen sharing Exhibit 10. This was emitted earlier. May we play it for
Yes.
Ms. Mehta?
Hi, everyone. Morgan and I are in Hollywood. We're at a bar. It's kind of like a Philly bar, except everything is really, really expensive. $10 for a seltzer. And everyone here wants to be a model or an actress. I'd like to thank the Academy. Mom and Dad, you've inspired me. Okay, well, go big or go home.
Now, Ms. Mehta, was Jessica slurring her words in that video?
I can't be certain as to if she was slurring her words. Some people have speech impediments. Her speech seems fine.
Ms. Mehta, is that a yes or a no?
Somewhat.
And Ms. Mehta, was she incoherent in that video?
No, she seemed to make sense to me.
And did she reach for the wrong beer can?
No, she seemed fine at the end of the video.
But did she reach for the wrong beer can at first? The wrong White Claw, that is.
Well, it seemed to be empty. So she reached for the White Claw, the beer, and the White Claw.
Now, Ms. Mehta, someone with the 0.16 blood alcohol content is intoxicated, correct?
Yes.
And referring you to, and as a bar owner, you are not required to sell to minors?
No, you're not supposed to sell to minors.
And you're not supposed to sell to minors because that is the law.
That's correct.
Nothing further at this time, Your Honor.
Can you redirect on that?
Yes, Your Honor, briefly.
Okay.
Miss Mehta, you just saw Miss Marks in this video. Did you see any of these signs when you were near her?
No, I didn't see any signs of intoxication when I was taking her order at those 8 to 10 times.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. Are we ready to proceed to closing arguments?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Gonzalez, I don't think I'll give you a chance to rest. Do you have any further evidence before we go to closing?
The defense rests, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Tang, whenever you're ready to give your closing argument, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Your Honor. Guardians are meant to protect. They are meant to watch over us. That is their duty. But when guardians fail their duty, people get hurt. When guardians like Miss Meta fail, people like Jessica get hurt. Members of the jury, opposing counsel is trying to blame an innocent young girl for her own death. They are victim blaming. The defense would rather blame the victim of the situation rather than accept fault in the case. We all have duties. Miss Meta's duty was to protect Jessica. Our duty is to hold fallen guardians responsible. The defense had a burden of proof. They had to prove by a preponderance of the evidence that Jessica's negligence was a substantial factor in her death. They failed to prove this burden. They failed to prove this burden due to one simple fact. Jessica did not have a duty, unlike Miss Meta. Under the Dram Shop Act, a licensed distributor can be held responsible if they give or sell to an obviously intoxicated minor, which leads to an injury or death sustained by that minor. Miss Meta sold and gave alcohol to Jessica. Jessica then later died under her care. Opposing counsel would lead you to believe that Jessica's negligence is a substantial factor in this case. However, it is Sonny's Rooftop Bar's negligence that is the substantial factor. The Dram Shop Act makes this clear. Not only that, but opposing counsel tried to argue that Jessica was not obviously intoxicated. However, Jessica had a BAC of 0.16. As you can see on Exhibit 22, which has been pre-admitted, during today's trial, you heard about fake IDs and prior conduct, but these are all just red herrings. Red herrings that stray away from the main issue. The main issue is if Jessica was obviously intoxicated. The plaintiff has proved to you that Jessica was in fact obviously intoxicated. You've seen how she acts when she is sober versus when she isn't. Her best friend even testified to this. You have even heard from Miss Meta herself that Jessica was displaying symptoms of intoxication at the latest 11:11, the time of Exhibit 10's filming. Symptoms are simply outward manifestations of a person's physical state. Any reasonable bar owner would have seen Jessica and cut her off, not make a joke about it. At the time of her death, Jessica was not thinking clearly. She was too drunk to make rational decisions, a state of mind that can be attributed to Miss Meta and Sonny's Rooftop Bar. If only Miss Meta cared, Jessica would be in school right now. Jessica would be with her mother Ethel or with her best friend Morgan. That night, the law failed Jessica. It failed to protect her. Though we might have failed Jessica in life, we will not fail her in death. Miss Meta was the guardian that failed Jessica. We will be better. We will be the guardians that protect her even in death. That is why we ask you to find Sonny's Rooftop Bar liable in the death of Jessica Marks.
Okay, thank you, counsel. Defense counsel, are you ready to give a closing argument?
Yes, Your Honor.
Whenever you're ready.
Your Honor, opposing counsel, ladies and gentlemen of the court, it was a decision that only she could make. What this case boils down to are two things: blame and responsibility. Now, the opposing counsel just came before and laid a lot of blame at the feet of my client, Sonny's Rooftop Bar. But do you know what they didn't tell you? Do you know what they dare not talk about? They did not utter a single word about Jessica Marks' own responsibility for the fatal accident that took her life. And after all the evidence presented and testimony offered, after all the blaming and acrimony, there is one sad, hard fact that still remains. The fatal decision to drink and drive was a decision that only Jessica Marks could make, and not my client. According to the laws of the state of California, to hold a defendant in a civil action liable for wrongful death under the Dram Shop Act, a plaintiff must prove the following: 1, that the decedent was underage when she was served drinks by the defendant. 2, that the defendant served the decedent alcohol when she was obviously intoxicated. And 3, that the defendant's actions were the proximate cause of the decedent's death. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the court, I need to remind you that Sunny's Rooftop Bar doesn't need to prove anything. The burden of proving each and every one of these elements of the Dram Shop Act's wrongful death cause of action does not rest with the defense, but rather the plaintiff must prove by a preponderance of the evidence that my client was the proximate cause of Ms. Marks' death. Now, let's examine that for a moment. The plaintiff must somehow show that my client knew that Ms. Marks was obviously intoxicated when she was served and was responsible for her getting in her car and driving into the accident that took her life. Ladies and gentlemen, clearly they failed to make the crucial connection to these elements. Thus, the plaintiff has failed to prove by preponderance of the evidence that my client is liable for Ms. Marks' death. Sunny Mehta noticed Morgan Levin's condition and asked Jessica if this one's not driving. When she did so, Jessica sounded normal. Ms. Mehta didn't observe any signs of intoxication from Jessica Marks and had no legal duty to stop serving her, call an Uber, or take her keys. The decision to drive while intoxicated was Jessica's. Today, you have heard from our lead witness, Ms. Sunny Mehta, the owner of Sunny's Rooftop Bar. Ms. Mehta testified that she runs a respectable and responsible business. She served Jessica Marks' table 8 to 10 times and did not see any obvious signs of intoxication on Ms. Marks. She noticed signs of intoxication from Morgan Levin and not Jessica Marks when they were leaving. Now, what about the plaintiff? Well, they also offered you a single witness, Morgan Levin. She admitted to engaging in a deceitful and dishonest act by using fake IDs to acquire alcohol. She admitted to engaging in a deceitful and dishonest act by lying to the police when she said that neither Jessica nor her were drinking that night. She claims that Sunny Mehta caught Jessica as she was stumbling from the stairs and heard that the defendant say, "Whoa, Frankfurt, we might need to cut this one," which Sunny Mehta denies. Claims that Sunny Mehta said, "I hope this one's not driving," about Jessica when she was referring to Morgan. Famous American athlete Marcus Stewart once said that everybody is responsible for their own actions. It's easy to point the finger at somebody else, but a real man, a real woman, a real person knows when it's time to take the blame and when to take responsibility for their actions. Your Honor, it is clear that the plaintiff has failed to prove its case against my client. What happened to Ms. Marks was very tragic, and our sympathies go out to her family, but it would simply be unjust to blame my client's service for the tragic loss of Ms. Marks when the ultimate life and death decision was never a decision for my client to make. Let's be clear. It was never the decision of my client to present fake IDs so that Ms. Marks and her friend, Ms. Levin, could acquire alcoholic beverages. It was never the decision of Sunny's Rooftop Bar to refuse an Uber to take Ms. Marks safely home. It was never the decision of my client to make Ms. Marks get into her car and drive knowing that she was intoxicated. All of these decisions were made by Jessica Marks herself, and she must take responsibility for her fatal actions and be held at comparative negligent fault for those decisions. If this court was to do otherwise, then it would give its content to a public policy whereby any estate who had an underage decedent could claim that it was obvious that their loved one was intoxicated in order to recover from a defendant with deep pockets without even acknowledging the decedent's own legal fault. Such a public policy must not be allowed to stand. Given this, we ask this honorable court to find the defendant not liable for the wrongful death of Ms. Jessica Marks. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, counsel. Rebuttal.
Objection, Your Honor. My opposing counsel never asked for a rebuttal.
I'm gonna allow counsel to give a rebuttal to the extent that he has time remaining.
Thank
Yes,
you, Your Honor. Now, opposing counsel said that it was a decision only she could make. Well, Miss Mehta has that decision. She had that decision to not sell to minors. That was her decision and her decision alone. And opposing counsel also said that the proximate cause, we failed to prove the proximate cause that Miss Mehta serving alcohol led to Jessica's death. However, this is simply untrue. Without Jessica drinking those drinks, she would not have gotten in that car and crashed and get killed. Any reasonable person would have seen Jessica and know that she was intoxicated. We saw it in Exhibit 10, which was filmed at 11:11. But what does Miss Mehta do after the filming of Exhibit 10 at 11:11? She refilled a beer for Jessica. Now, opposing counsel also said that we need to know when to take responsibility. Okay, then. Take responsibility for the death of Jessica Marks. Nothing further, Your Honor.